Hey guys, welcome to Heart of the Hero, Tools for Successful Minds. I'm Dan here with Greg. We're going to get into some fun stuff tonight, but first I'd just like to talk, like I do every time, explain a little bit about what we are, in case you're joining us for the first time. We like to go into some new perspectives, some mindsets, some tips, some tricks from our experience and our information that we've gathered over the years. And we'd like to just relate this and try to help you guys out as much as we can. This is also another favorite of mine. I think we're actually talking about controlling your emotions. What was the second part, Greg? I'm sorry, I stole your part, but what was the full title?
Unusual methods that work. We're talking about how to control your emotions, and we do have some unusual methods that work. Some interesting things that you might want to pick up and learn and use and kind of put into practice. But I want to make you a guarantee, right? A money back guarantee, a promise, right? Because this is one of those topics that's sticky. Like this is one of those topics that it's like people have an emotional response to it because that's what it is. Like you're dealing with your own emotions, right? So I think if you're coming in, right, if you're just getting started, if you're just turning this on, the one thing you need to know is if you ride this out, right, if you ride this out for the tips, for the tricks, for the techniques, for the unusual methods, right, we're going to show you specifically how you can consistently change your own emotional state. So you can change the way that you feel. So you can feel however you want. And I don't really know how you would choose to feel, but you can think about it. You might want to feel good. Maybe you want to feel happier. Maybe you want to feel more open-minded. Like whatever it is, there's a feeling to that. And if you kind of learn the levers, the methods, the big red button that you can press, maybe I should call it green, right? It gets you going.
That's the green button.
Right, red always blows you up, right? But honestly, if you learn some of these tips and these methods, right, you're going to have a way that you can actually change your own emotional state whenever you want.
Yeah, just to give you guys a quick picture of the way I look at this, I kind of adhere strongly to the practices of cognitive behavioral therapy. Because cognitive behavioral therapy believes something that I also believe, which is that the process of generating emotions and even, behavior happens the same way. And this isn't giving it away, Greg, too early, so calm down. But we have an event happen, right? And then that event, like somebody yells our name. Instantly, we have thoughts. Turns out they were yelling a cuss word, and so we're sitting there thinking like, they're yelling, "Hey man, what the heck are you doing?" And we're, instantly we have thoughts like, "This guy's seriously talking to me? Like, are you? Oh my gosh, you hear what he said?" Like, and that's building emotion, and then you have emotion, and then that causes a behavior change. You yell back at that person. So kind of the basis of that is what we're going to be talking about a little bit is the event, thought, emotion, behavior change, and that'll in it of itself will explain why controlling emotions is so important.
So who is this an issue for? How is this an issue for you, right? You've got negative feelings. You basically feel like garbage. Like if you don't feel how you want to feel, right? If you don't have maybe the life that you want right now, or you don't have the money that you want right now, or and it doesn't even have to be that specific, right? It could just be that in this moment you went on YouTube or you went on your channels or you just looked for a way to find out how to get rid of those kind of unpleasant feelings that you have, right? You want to feel better emotions. You want to see different things. You want to hear yourself thinking in a new way, right? So I think it's kind of key right out the gate. And this isn't always that important. It's not always that necessary, but I think right out the gate, we should kind of illuminate, put a spotlight on these obstacles that they're going to have, right? Because you guys are listening in, right? You're kind of keying in here, but there's some problem areas that are going to bite you in your mouth, right? Because your emotions, well, I don't want to say bite you in your ass, like, who
well, you just that? Did, and you could have sounded smoother if you just said it the first time.
Well, you get bitten in the mouth, that would suck too. I don't know.
How do you bite? Never mind. How do you get bitten in the mouth? Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Maybe she like you. No, but seriously, it's like you're gonna have problems, right? So, and I'd say the first thing that you got to deal with, right, is your own mindset about your own emotions. You might not be sure what you feel a lot of the time, right? You might be sure that you don't feel good, but you don't necessarily know what it is or know where it's coming from or know what's causing it. But you got to kind of put aside this idea that you personally can control how you feel, right? A lot of times people might think that someone else needs to change how you feel. Like, you know, you have to go watch a video, or you have to go talk to a person, or you have to go, you know, sit on a chair, lie backwards, and let them listen to you ramble on for an hour and a half. Like you have these thoughts and this belief that you don't fundamentally have the ability to change your own feelings at all. So if you have that as sort of a core belief, or something maybe you're holding on to pretty tight, and I'm not telling you that you can't keep this, you can't hold on to this, but just for now, just for this segment, just for this show, put that away for a second. Just leave it at the door for a second, right? And we're going to talk to you about some ways that you can actually do that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I'm gonna kind of jump pretty in, because I got a few things that I want to talk about, and we can just extrapolate from there. But it's like, you know, one of the things I think is very important is, in similar to controlling your thoughts, was we talked about, you know, identifying thoughts. Well, you know, we all have emotional triggers. You know, we all have things that set us off, things that like put us in a bad state, get us angry, upset, mad, sad, depressed, anxious, whatever. You know, we have all these emotions, jealousy, all these strong, you know, seemingly heavy emotions, you know, and these triggers are important to identify, because out of the gate, you need to know what's getting you upset, what's causing you to get this way, what's causing this emotion. Because, and again, this is assuming that you just did what Greg did, and you left those beliefs that you can't control how you feel at the door, because you first need to be able to see your emotions as emotions, not a part of you, you know, not being the emotion, not living in the emotion and going through it, but kind of observing the fact that you're being afflicted with this emotion. It's an affliction. It's not you. It's being afflicted on you. And I think it's important to identify that. And so when you can get there and you start to be able to focus, you know, see the emotions as they come as more of, you know, afflictions, you can identify which emotions are causing the most damage, because that's kind of what you're here for, right? It's like you're feeling like these emotions happen, and yeah, they suck, you want to control them, but most likely it's affecting you in a way, it's affecting your behavior, because remember, event, thoughts, emotions, behavior. And so right after emotions is behavior. So you're being directly affected by these emotions. And and one of the things you need to do is identify the emotional triggers that you have that actually set you off down this bad path. Because if you have no idea what's actually setting you off, and you have no idea what's actually making you feel this way, then there's not really going to be a lot of progress for you, because you'll have nowhere to go. You're kind of shooting in the dark, you know, trying to grab smoke. You can't get a hold of it. You just know you feel bad if you don't know what's actually causing you to feel bad.
I want to ask if you could put out some targets for, you know, some of the listeners in the community right now, because if you're having feelings, right, and it may not even be right now, but it probably is, because, you know, people look for things that they want to cure, they want to solve, they want to heal, they want to feel better, right? If you have some of these things going on right now, Dan, if you could think, maybe, what do you think might be some of the reasons for stuff like this, right? Like where do these negative, bad, unpleasant, not good feelings, where do they come from usually? Like what are some of the areas in life, or, you know, people or friends or family or mindsets or whatever it is? Like there's a bunch of them, but what do you think are some of the most pertinent ones that a viewer, or, you know, a community member or whatever might have right now?
You're asking for the reasons. Say
yeah,
that. The reasons for
like,
why
like the cause.
The cause of the emotion. Well, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is your conditioning and your nature, or in your nature and nurture. You know, like how you were raised has a large degree of how you deal with things emotionally. You know, because our first representations of how to deal with emotions and respond to emotions is kind of taught to us by our parents. Or whoever raised us. You know, we're taught by the people that are nearest to us that and we see the way they respond to things, and that's the way that we automatically assume things is appropriate way to respond to things. That's why you see the kind of phenomenon of, if you have abusive parents, often you'll see that kind of repeat cycle of abuse, because they've been taught that emotional response. They think that's the, and we'll get that's ancillary, but what the cause of your emotions is essentially the past that you have, and how you're relating everything that's happened now to that past and to this identity of who you are. You know, you have these attachments, you have these you know, desires and things that you want for your life and for your future. And so when you're in the moment and you think about your whole life, and you think about the last week, you think about the last 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, and you kind of see this big picture. You know, everybody does that kind of bird's eye of the last year of their life, like what things were like, even though you're not even nearly encapsulating it. You know, and what you'll do is you kind of relate this past where you were, and you'll relate it to where you are now. And that can cause a lot of, like, especially if you're already on the move and you're like us and you're, you know, you're on the grind, you're starting businesses, and you're doing your thing, and you're moving. When you're moving like that, you start having this kind of tendency to be where you're at right now and relate to where you were back then, and then that compared to where you compare it to everything that you're at right now, and be like, all right, well, I feel these emotions because this is where you kind of relate your situation that you're in to other points in your life. And so I think a lot of the way that we are taught how to handle emotion and even respond to emotion is mainly just the way that we were raised, the things that we grew up around seeing, whether it be our parents or you know, our guardians or our friends, or you know, maybe we weren't taught anything about handling emotions, or the fact that emotions are controllable at all. You know, maybe it was just something that you felt like it was God talking to you and giving you these emotions. You know, there's all these things that we can have that'll kind of cause emotions for us. Their perspectives, their attachments to ideas and concepts and beliefs and judgments. And when those things are challenged or attacked, which is what's happening in the now, you know, it's all the stuff in the past, the beliefs and judgments and opinions that you've developed, are things that you've developed over your life. And so now you're in the present. And if those things are challenged in any ways, you feel, you know, you start having thoughts about just like wondering if, well, am I even supposed to be doing this? What should I be doing? Am I even good enough to do this? And you know, these thoughts kind of lead you to this like anxious, upset, and almost like, you know, scared state of like, I don't know, and you've just caused yourself an emotion that's going to cause you to act a certain way. And so I think a lot of that comes to the way that you've seen people respond growing up. Just one of, really.
Yeah, and maybe you feel like you're not going to be able to do this in the long run. Like you're thinking you might cure this, you might, you know, cut this off, you might, you know, patch up your wound and get moving and get back to your life and get on with your stuff, right? But I really want to urge you to take this to heart and hold it for the future, right? Hold it for the future use. Hold it for times when you're not watching, or you're not listening, or no one else is present, and you start to feel those negative feelings, right? Some of these techniques, some of these tips, these kind of just different ways that you can change your own emotional state. You can feel better kind of on cue, right? If you pick this stuff up, because there's a person and hopefully it's not who you are, right? But some of the community, I would imagine, still has some reservations, still has some doubts, right? And it could be you, but you gotta kind of put that aside and cultivate a mindset of curiosity. And I don't throw curiosity out lightly, but it's one of those things that can kind of open you up to what's possible for you, what's possible for where you're going, for what you know, for what you don't know, for what the future looks like, right? So you got to kind of get curious about what it is that you could do for your own emotional state if you understood how to shift it, if you understood how to change it. Like what would that do for your life? How would that affect your relationships? How would that affect your family, your friends? Like you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's almost like we don't often, you know, one of the main things is you know, how would you feel if you were, I say this to people often when I coach them or talk to them, I you know, when they kind of doubt the need for this or doubt the necessity to learn how to master this, I just ask them a simple question like, okay, well, do you think you could benefit from when in a time, say you get to a place where you're, actually, no, I'm gonna tell this story real quick. It reminds me of something where I used to have this problem where I would, when I was around a person, I would get, she was my ex, but around this ex, and I worked with her, and it was unfortunate because I had to, like, you know, be around this and kind of be reminded this emotion that was there that, you kind of just want to bury and move on. And my fault for, dating somebody at work. But what would happen is I would be at work and I'd be going through my emotions and I'd be fine. I'd be totally in my own place. And all of a sudden, boom, I'd see her. And it was just like this rush of thoughts and these rush of emotions. And, it was, I'd have to like check myself and like get myself, and I'd be affected. I'd be all like in my head, working, messing up, not paying attention, getting behind, feeling bad, constantly just like anxious, thinking about all these thoughts, different things that are making me feel bad. The state is just increasing itself at this point. And it was a tough time. But this at the time, I didn't really know what I know now and how to deal with things so well emotionally, which was the ability to kind of separate from that and let that go. And through training, I had trained my mind to respond and let go, because a lot of this is different, than you can try to prevent emotions from happening, but trying to prevent emotions from happening is actually a different thing than controlling emotions, in a sense, because when you're controlling emotion, you're already in it, right? You're basically like already in the wave pool, and a wave's already coming at you. You're like being lifted up by the wave. It's like, it's kind of too late. It's here. Like you're going to experience emotion here because you weren't consciously aware enough to stop yourself from thinking the things that led you here. Like that's going to happen. And so so stopping yourself from getting to emotion is a different, that's emotion prevention, not emotion control. They're both of controlling emotions, and both important, but they're different practices, because when you're in the emotion, it's more about finding ways to let go. It's finding ways to separate yourself from the emotion and not be so identified with it, because what'll happen is when you're in it, there's this weird tendency. Have you ever been just feeling bad and you didn't want to be cheered up? Like people were making attempts to cheer you up, and were saying things that normally would cheer you up and make you feel good. You were doing things that, you thought about things that you could do to distract yourself. You're like, I don't want to do that. Like, and you're just kind of, I don't want to do any of that. Fine. I'm not doing that. I'm not. Because you want to, it's almost like you want to stay there. It's this urge to feel like this is important. This emotion means something. Like I have to think about this. You don't. You experience the emotion. Now move on. There's a letting go process that needs to happen there. And we're going to touch a little bit on a different level of the no past and no future thing, because instead of thinking about the thoughts, we're going to relate it to emotions a little bit and see what kind of emotions we can talk about coming up. Because I think once you're in the emotion, it's a riding the wave process, and you need to know how to navigate yourself out. But whereas if you're not consciously in control enough to control your thoughts, you're already there. You're already going to deal with it. It's going to come. So it's how you respond to it and how you respond while you're in it that we're trying to attack here.
Yeah, it's when you're in it, you're not usually aware of it. Honestly, it'll come up and you're not really. I remember I used to play dodgeball. I used to play a lot of dodgeball. Love dodgeball, right? I was just lanky kid, wet noodle, but I would dodge the crap out of those balls, right? So I remember I would play with this group. I would play with these guys, and I think I was probably 14 at the time, right? And I remember what happened for me was I think there was maybe 12 or 15 of us or so, right? And so we're playing this game, and it was going well, right? We're throwing and rolling, and we actually kind of, I don't even know if this is how the rules go, right? But we would literally just be in a room, right? Freestyle. Like you walk around and you get a step count, right? You get a step count. It's 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, whatever it is. And after you step your amount, you have to throw the ball. You can no longer move. You have to throw the ball, right? So it helps to be really tall, right? When you're my age, right? I was 14, 15. It helps to be really tall. Like I could jump like a gazelle, right? My 3 steps is like other people's 6 steps. It's long. I could cover a lot of ground. And I remember, we had these red balls, right? You squeeze them, and they're the heavy ones, right? Well, I was pretty good. I could duck, I could roll, I could dodge. But there was this one kid who pissed me off because he was really good. was really, 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 really good. Like nobody could hit him ever, and he hit everybody all the time, right? He's that guy, and you know that guy, right? Snarky, like cocky. He was, but it makes you like him less because he's better than you, right? So I'm going, and we're playing this game. It's 15 people. We're hopping around, jumping around. There's usually 2 balls in play, right? They're rotating, and I remember this guy. We were usually pretty cool. Like I was pretty cool with him because he was good, I was good. So honestly, we kind of usually would just pick on everybody else. We just throw the balls at him. Oh, well, I'm not going to hit this guy because we don't want to duel it out, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to make the other person look bad. You're both all right. Just go for the weak people. We were those people, right? So we did it. We did this. It was bad. It was bad. We did it, right? You hit the kid with the glasses, hit the kid that's stumbling, whatever. It's like we did this, and we did it consistently. But one day, this guy gets it in his head that he's just gonna show me up. He's gonna go for me, right? And I knew it. I don't know how I knew it. It was like a sixth sense. It was like my gut told me, like, he's gonna try and hit you. He wants to make a point right now because everyone was watching, right? There's a couple people who were left in the play. Heart rate was up. I was like, oh man, like this is just the only couple people left, and it was usually only one winner. But he starts hopping over to me, right, and he starts launching these balls at me just over and over and over again, right? I'm ducking, I'm dodging, and at first I was like, oh right. We are not on the same team because usually it's just this unspoken truce. We don't really hit each other. We just didn't that much. Well, I had this awareness that I was just like, oh, I got to fight this guy now. Like I gotta survive this guy now. And he's really good. Like he could throw curves. Like he would hit you, right? And it would hurt. Well, I remember I had a really good game. Like there's 15 people. I probably hit out 7 of them, 8 of them, 9 of them. Like it was my game, right? I was feeling good, hopping around, dodging. Well, he kind of gets in his head that he's going to creep over my way, right? So he takes his steps, throws the ball. I dodge it, right? It hits the wall. Boom, bounces off, right? Boom, he jumps again, right? He grabs another ball. I dodge it, right? I'm thinking, okay, well, this is how it is, right? So I take a ball, pick it up, right? Launch it at him, right? Dodges it, nothing happens. And people are watching this stalemate, right? And so he takes and he hops over, knocks this other kid out. Well, it gets down to just me and him and one other guy, right? Just me and him and one other guy. And the other guy is like, I got to stay away from this. This is wild. These are bullets, right? He's in the corner, right? We're just going at it. Well, we probably throw a good 10, 12 balls just back and forth, right? Matrix. This is what this is, right? I'm 14. It's cool, right? So I noticed he was winding up for his special, his curveball, which was really hard to dodge. I don't know if you had a big red ball coming at you, right? Where it's coming, you think it's coming straight, but it's not. It's swinging sideways, right? So you think you're going to dodge, and you dodge one direction, and boom, you get smacked, right? Well, I knew this was coming. I'm ready. I'm cool. I got this. I'm going to hop over it. Totally. I'm thinking I'm going to hop straight over it. I'm going to be cool. Everybody's going to like me. They're going to be like, oh, so cool. Like, just jump over it, right? Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I'm getting ready, right? I'm getting ready to dodge it. I'm getting ready to slide to the side and kind of jump, right? Well, he throws this ball. It's coming at me. I can see it. It's moving closer, right? And I jump, but he put the curve on it, and he threw an underhand. And you know what it did? It curved up. Never seen that before. Never happened before, right? Went straight up diagonal to the side. You know what I did? I jumped right into that ball. Boom, right in my face. Just right, red face, nose, like my lips were smashed. It was slow motion. You see me roll, right? It hurt, and it hurt, right? It hurt, right? Because he was close to me. He was close, maybe 10 steps away when he threw the ball, right? And he threw hard. So I'm sitting there, right? And I'm out. I'm done. I'm out, right? So I'm just like, and I realized, I wasn't conscious, but I realized I was about to cry. It hurt that bad. I didn't want to cry. You don't want to cry. I'm a grown man. Right? Well, what happened was instead I got really angry. It was a decision. I decided I got really angry, right? Got really angry. And so I walk over to this guy, right? And we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to talk to him, right? And other people are like, oh, what's going to happen? And it's funny. because what he said to me was not what I expected. It was not what I was thinking was going to happen. It was not what I was, and this is a really good point, right? This is a really good, this is a moment, right? And maybe you have some information about this too, Dan, because what happened in that moment for me, and I'll finish the story in a second, but what happened for me was in that moment, I actually changed my emotion. I actually changed my emotional state. I was going from sadness, from upset to anger, right? To anger, my body, the chemicals, something happened, right? I was like, oh, you know, you're angry now, or you're mad now, right? And I think that kind of leads into some of the practices, because this is Dan's domain, right? If you guys have been listening for a while, you've heard him talk about state change and stuff like that. And I swear I will finish the story, I promise. But maybe you could move into a little bit talking about what that is, what actually happened, like what's going on in the body when you can do that, right? How could a person do that at all?
Well, I mean, I think what you noticed happening in that story is a natural state change, where like your thoughts, because if you think about CBT again, event, thoughts, emotion, behavioral change. Well, what happened was you got hit in the face. You had some thoughts about it. Now, initially you were probably upset and you're getting ready to cry, and you realize you have this thought. You say, I'm going to be so embarrassed if I'm crying in front of these people. There's no way I can cry in front of these people. I can't do this. This would mean this. They would say this. And you have all these thoughts coming into your head. And so what that does is that causes this emotion of like embarrassment, where you're like, I'm not doing this. So you're getting all riled up, and that emotion's still there. So it moves into another place. You've directed it now into anger. You've chosen, and you've moved like, I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to cry. I'm a tough guy. I'm going to go talk to him. Those are thoughts. Those are thoughts happening that's mixing with emotion. And now these thoughts are directing your emotions towards anger. And what happens is behavior change. Your body, you go over, you say you're going to talk to him, whatever you're going to say to him, and you've made this decision. It's caused this ripple effect in you, this where it kind of just dominoes down to boom, you make a decision. And what you see there is this natural ability to just change emotions. Have you ever been told, like, you were coming in on a Friday and you were told like you had to come in on the weekend? At the beginning of the shift, you were told you had to come in at the beginning of the weekend. You get there, you weren't expecting it, and you're just mad. You're just pissed. You're in this angry state. You're upset about your job, not gonna be able to have fun this weekend, not gonna be able to do what I want to do. You're just mad about it. You're mad about it. You're angry. You're pissed. You're talking all this trash about this place, trash talking your managers, complaining to other coworkers. They're complaining back at you. You're getting all riled up. And in the middle of this crap fest, all of a sudden your manager walks by and say, oh, nobody told you, hey guys, we're not working tomorrow. And you're like, what? Woo! Like, and you're just like, and you're completely like shifted. It's gone. Like it was nothing. This was so vital and so viscerally upsetting to you a moment ago, but one event changed your thoughts, which changed your emotions in a direction, and then changed your behavior. And so what you see there is that there's this natural ability. This isn't something that's like a new thing that we have to learn how to do. Our mind already has the conditioning set up to do this. It's about learning how to proc those things, learning how to hit the right little spots in your head and in your emotions to direct whatever emotional states you're in now in different direction. Now, for instance, for me, something I learned, which it was a little after some practice, I'm fairly good at controlling my emotions and my emotional state. But one of the things that I had to, one of the things that I did was when I would get into an emotionally negative, place, I would have this kind of moment of, like, for instance, I was angry. That was what it was. I'm sorry, I lost actually my train of thought. You ever hear me like that? It's because I'm like actually trying to grab this thought out of thin air, because I'm like, wait. And sidebar there. But I would get angry or anxious. Something that's like, it's really in your gut, it's like, it's your stomach's kind of turning over, and really that feeling is actually just, you have this really like long, like nerve all the way down in your body. Is it nerve? I think it's a nerve.
I think it's a nerve.
Pretty sure it's a nerve. It's basically a second brain. It is like more like it operates, like it sends more signals, and is more responsible for like the chemical balances of the body and everything. So when you feel stressed and angry, you release these chemicals into your stomach. That's why you feel that turning over sensation of, I just feel like, I just want to die. death. And and I got there, right? Like you get there in those states. And when once I had the knowledge of that I could change my emotional state, it was a natural process. I just had this idea. I was like, I'm just going to try laughing. And like full belly laugh. And I just started just like laughing, just out loud, full belly, smile on my face, thinking about the feeling that I'm feeling is just funny, just hilarious to me, just gut bursting. And just what I noticed would happen is that your mind kind of sometimes just hops on board. It's like because you've changed your thoughts, you've changed your physiology by laughing. The laughing and the smiling triggers emotional and thought conditioning in your brain, which so like for instance, if you think peanut, you probably thought of peanut butter too, or you thought of an elephant, or you thought that little yellow dude with the cane acting all BA. Like what that happens is because your brain associates with things, it's pulling stuff to your memory. So when you're smiling and you're laughing and you're just having a gas about something, your mind is probably a little confused at first. It feels fake, but eventually you'll notice that it kind of just like, okay, I think we're supposed to be happy right now. So let's think about all the stuff and times we were laughing and things how we felt when we were laughing. And what you'll also notice is that it's actually very physical, because those chemicals that are in your stomach and your main body are the same chemicals, well, some of them, but most of the same chemicals that get released when you're stressed and when you're angry. It's a lot of the same ones. And so what you do is your body's kind of already in this state where it's would normally be if you were just laughing your butt off. And then you start changing your laughing and you're smiling, and you proc all these memories and associations in your brain that bring up these happy and funny thoughts. And it's like your brain just gets on board. It's like, okay. And I've done it before, and it's weird how good you feel after. Like I'm just sitting there like buzzing, like, okay, I guess I'm fine. Because it's like, you're after, you're just like, I don't know what to do here. And like that's one of the things that I've noticed, and it's because it's a natural thing. It's you're using natural triggers of your own to get yourself into an emotional state. That's why recognizing emotional triggers is so important, because if you can recognize the emotional triggers that you have for good things as well, like happiness and excitement and joy and love and peace, these type of I don't know if peace is an emotion, but if you can proc these, if you know the triggers of those and you can recognize them, then you know how to trigger yourself. You know how. If you can identify the emotional triggers, you can know how to trigger yourself in a good way. And when you're in a bad state, you take those good emotional triggers that you've learned and become aware of, and you start doing them, even though they're going to feel fake, even though they're going to feel not authentic at first, especially when you first go at this. But you use those triggers and you try to trigger the good emotions in yourself while you're in that place of dealing with negative emotions, where you're letting go of that negativity and you're like kind of allowing yourself to make a choice to trigger yourself into a different state. You're probably basically just trying to knock yourself over the head with a hammer, proverbially, and just boom, like, okay, I'm happy now. Like, and laughing in that example is actually just an example of finding emotional triggers in you that trigger emotions that are similar. Like, for instance, to talk about thought real quick, controlling thoughts in this is very important, because you need to find thoughts when you're thinking that are very associated to that feeling. It takes a little more specificity. So if you're sad, you need to find things that are actually making you happy. If you're mad, you need to find things that actually calm you down. You can't just say anything that makes you feel whatever. You need to find things that are actually very specific to that type of emotion.
Yeah, no, I got a story. It's funny. My mom, she would always do this thing, and I don't know if you guys have any of the executive parents, like the old Catholic school with the ruler parents, like, you're gonna do this and because I say so. And I mean, you ever heard because I say so, you want to pull your hair out? And I don't even have any hair. You just want to, right? It's like, it's not a good reason. Well, I had one of my parents, it's honestly both of my parents. They were kind of, you're gonna do this. This is how this has to happen. This is, God love them, right? It's just how it is, right? So I remember this one time. I don't remember what I was doing. I don't remember specifically what it was that I'd done, but I totally had messed something up, totally did something wrong, right? Totally just mucked up. And I remember I was in the kitchen, right? And we had this weirdly 90s style tiled floor. It was just, it was weird. And I remember what my mom said was, go to your room, go to your room. I was like, why? Why do I need, why? You know, just a little smart kid, right? A little smart kid. Just like, oh, I don't want to, well. And she's like, because I said so. And I'm thinking in my head, I didn't say this, well, that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. That's so stupid. But you know what I was doing? I was already walking out the door. I was going straight to my room. But I was mad. Right? I was mad. And I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. It was very, very little, right? And I was angry. And I remember I had this there was this clock in the room. It was an old school alarm, one of the square ones, you know, one of the 90s square ones with like the trashy red letters and like the beige top. I don't know if y'all ever seen that. Shout out in the comments. Like, so I had this, right? And it was actually my dad's. And I went in the room. I was mad, right? I was mad. I was like, "Wow, you know, I want to run away." You guys ever think that? You guys ever think that when you're little? I want to run away, right, for some stupid stuff. Well, I'm in the room, right, and I'm mad, and I realized that alarm was there, that clock was there, and I went over and I flipped it on. I wasn't even thinking. I just flipped it on. It was radio static. Tune it, and I find some channel that I wanted to hear, right? Some music. And I start playing, and I'm like, I just get absent-minded real quick, right? Just absent-minded, because I kind of forgot. I forgot to be mad. I just forgot to feel bad. I forgot. I was like, yeah, oh yeah. And then a few minutes later, I walked out of the room. Like she said, I could come out. She said I could do whatever I was doing. I just went back to playing. I just went back to doing what I was doing, right? But it's because your body already knows, your mind already knows, it has these tools to change your state based on what you're aware of, based on where you put your attention, based on what you're thinking, right? It's like you got this laser and you can focus it on whatever you want. And maybe your feelings come up and they don't feel good and they suck or something happens, right? And you're like, oh, I feel so bad. But just don't focus on that. Just shift to something good. You know, put in a good thought, put in a good feeling. Think about something that makes you feel good. Go do something that makes you feel good, right? Watch your favorite show. Like, you got options, but it's almost like sometimes when we feel bad, we think that's the only thing in the world. We're trapped. We're like, I feel so bad. And I'm never going to not feel bad. Life is horrible. And you just sit in it.
Yeah. And I think a big thing comes with choice. It's very difficult to speak to people that are in a very negative state. That's why it's good to get tips and like stuff like this into your brain while you're in a good place, because, you know, when you're in that hard place, if you don't have good tools to use, it's really hard to get yourself out. It's really hard to talk to anybody that's even in that state, because that state just feels so real and everything kind of feels so just out of control, you know? And so I think one of the really main important things is getting this into your brain, into like memory, and even just the concept of being able to control your emotions, because having that in your brain can allow you, while you're in a bad state, to actually choose to get out of it, choose to think about things that will distract you and get you snapped out of a state. Think about things that will diffuse emotions or proc good emotions. You know, it's a choice. It all starts with choice, and it's very difficult to do in emotional states. If you haven't internalized some ideas like emotions aren't you, you don't identify with emotions. They're just happening to you. And it's like weather around the globe. It's just a thunderstorm and then it's gone, you know? And when you can kind of have those ideas in your brain, it can help you in those emotional states to make good choices, to actually deal with the emotional struggle in productive ways, rather than just kind of succumb to it.
Look, and maybe the guru crap ain't you. Maybe the namaste ain't the way you fly. There is an end all be all though. Go exert the crap out of your body. Just go run until you can't anymore. Like, right, just go do that, because you only have so much reserves, right, in your body, in your mind, you know, your energy levels to put on stuff that doesn't matter. So if you exert your body, right, your body doesn't know the difference between you dying and you thinking you're dying. It doesn't know the difference. So when you feel bad, right, you think you're like, oh, my life is so terrible, and your body's saying, oh, okay, you're basically about to die. Let's inject you with some stress hormones, like let's hit you with some bad chemicals, like let's get you going, because we need to make you aware of something, right? When you feel bad, it's just your body making you aware of something. It's an alarm system. Like, this is something you don't like. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it until it gets solved. And if you can't solve it, it's pay attention over and over and over again, right? So what you could do, and this is kind of the ultimate tip, and I'm not joking because I do this all the time. If you start feeling bad, right, and maybe you don't have the mental fortitude, or you're tired, or you're hungry, or you're unsure, or you just doubt. If you want to take action, if you want to actually do something that will solve it immediately, exert your body to your absolute limit. If you go into the gym, do the maximum amount of reps you can until you're breathing hard, to your blood's pumping, so you can feel your skin on fire, your eyes are wide, pupils, all this stuff, right? You just push yourself to the limit, right? Go for a run, go for a jog, so you get that sensation in your throat where you need water and you swallow and you're dry. Do that. Keep doing it, right? And keep doing it and keep doing it. And then when your hands are on your knees and you're bent over the pavement or whatever, you will feel fine. You will feel great, because your body's going to start putting out those feel good chemicals, because exercise actually makes you feel good. It literally makes your body feel good, because this is an assumption, but it makes logical sense. Let's imagine 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, right? If you were running, if you were exercising, if you were lifting something, it was for survival, right? You're lifting a tree. You're running from a lion. It's like, so when you get through that and you survive that crucible, that hardship, that, lifting more than you ever lifted, punching harder than you ever have, whatever it is, like, you get through that, you survive, your body gives you a nice little reward. It's like, oh, cool, you're still alive. Here, take this. Feels good, right? Feels good, right? Feels good, right? And you get to forget. You kind of can forget about the negative stuff, because it's not there anymore. It's actually just not there anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's just very essential to allow yourself the avenue of escape, to get yourself wrapped around the idea that this isn't something that you can't control, that accepting the idea that digging into this is important, because really all we're teaching you to do here is dig. This is very individualistic to each person, because we're all unique, and so this is going to be something that you evolve a practice, a strategy. Each one of the things that we think of individually is going to be different. That's why we stay vague, because what makes me happy isn't going to make you happy necessarily. So this is something that you have to custom make. It comes with a certain amount of self-awareness. And so, I mean, really, I think the only thing I can say about it now, left really is make sure you have a healthy dose of self-awareness. Is really dig into your mind and your emotions, and find out what causes your emotions, what thoughts are associated with them, what behavior actions are associated with them, and get this all documented in memory, so that you can have kind of a template and a map to look at about the things you need to work on, how you respond, and that gives you kind of like key points that get you aware of, oh, I'm being like this right now. Wow, that's right. I'm acting this way because this just happened. Man, I'm in an emotional state. Even that sometimes can just crack you out, realizing that, oh, I'm just being upset right now. I don't have to be this way. So it's like that. So get all that self-awareness stuff out of the way, because that's very important.
Yeah, I guess I could wrap up with a summary here, and maybe there's a surprise for you at the end. I know you've been waiting. I would say pay attention to your own emotions. That's the first thing. Like, figure out and maybe you need to make a chart, right? Maybe you need to make a list. Maybe you need to look it up. The stuff's all on the internet if you want to find out what kinds of emotions there are, right? What are you feeling in the body? Why is your stomach flipping? Why is your heart beating? Why is your neck hot? This information is out there, right? You just got to identify what it is you're feeling. Because let's say that you could narrow it down to 5, 6 things, 6, 7 things, and you feel them consistently. Well, then you'll know, okay, I don't want this one. That feels horrible, but I want this one. This feels great, right? So, use these tips, kind of put these techniques in order in your own life, however they fit, right? However they fit for you, for what you're doing, for your family situation, your life situation, and use your own emotional state, right? Fuel yourself, grow yourself, use it to actually move you towards your own success, right? That's the stuff that you want. Because this is what we talk about on this channel, on this show, is we talk about you moving to your success, whatever that is, right? Maybe you just need to go make a phone call, or you need to go make a change tonight, right? It's just something that's simple, something that's easy. Your emotional state, right? When you feel good, when you feel happy, when you feel better, it gives you this kind of resolution. It's like this closing clarity about your own situation, because you're not tied up anymore with wondering or being angry or being mad or upset or sad. You're just kind of at peace. You're kind of happy. You're kind of chill, right? And that leads into the end of my story here, which you probably have been waiting for, hopefully. So I get hit in the face, right? I'm hot. I'm red. You know, it just boom. And I don't know if you've heard that sound they make. It's like this boing that they make, right? Boom. That's it. That's the sound. It's like boom, right? So I get hit in the face. Boom, right? It just flies off, goes in this arc, you know, bounces down the way, and you know everyone's looking, and I don't see them, but when I looked up, I just see there's bodies, there's people standing there. Oh, right. And so I'm mad, I'm angry, I start feeling the type of way. You know, I go through this process. I'm like, oh, you know, don't cry. Oh, you know, don't go. I'm gonna be a tough guy. I'm gonna walk up to these people. Oh, so you know, just get mad, right? I'm walking to this guy. So I walk up to this guy, and I'm not really ready to fight, to be honest. I'm just like, I don't want to cry, so I need to just go over here because I'm gonna yell at him, and that will be better somehow. So I'm going over. I'm like, you know, and he knows apparently that I'm mad already. Like, because I barely said anything. I'm just you, and he's like, dude, I saw what you're trying to do. That was wild. I don't think he actually said wild, but literally, apparently he noticed that I was trying to jump over the ball. He's like, dude, I've seen you. And literally, I'm mad. I'm angry at this point, right? And I'm like, I'm so confused because he's like, yeah, man. He's walking with me, and he kind of turns me around in the group, and like, I'm out, right? I'm done. And so the other guy knew he was done, right? We literally quit the game because it was this horrible kid. You know, he had this brown hair, and he was very, very gangly. Couldn't play at all. He just walked off the field, walked off the road. We played indoors, right? So he walked off because he basically gave up because he didn't want to get hit in the face by this guy. So he left, right? So it's just me and him. Well, he's talking to me. He's like, dude, like, they can't touch us. Like, we are so good, right? And he's being genuine. He's being honest, right? He's telling me like, oh yeah, you know, we're so good at this game. It's almost like he didn't even notice. He didn't even realize that I was mad at him. He thought, oh, his face is just kind of messed up because whatever, like I hit him in the face. Yeah, whatever. We're moving on. And so he starts talking to me. He's like, yeah, man, you know, we're so awesome. We're so good. We're going to, you know, this is cool. And I'm, oh yeah, I'm so good. I'm so great. I'm so cool. This is amazing. Yeah, you know, I am good at this. And he makes me feel great. Makes me feel awesome. Right. And I'm thinking, man, like, this is not what I expected. This guy is super cool. Like, he's super cool. Right. And I never really talked to him that much. I mean, we kind of talked about dodgeball a little bit. Right. It just didn't happen. Well, we start talking. We got a lot of stuff in common. And it's funny because that event, right, that scenario actually made me a friend. And I'm not really super close to him now, to be blunt. But for a long time, we got along, we hung out, we kicked it, right? It was a good space, right? It was a good space. And it started, honestly, with me getting slapped in the face with a red ball, right? So you don't really ever know what's going to happen. You don't really ever know where the stuff that like kind of goes on in your life is going to go. But watch your own emotional state, right? Because you could really burn some bridges if you do it wrong, right? You know, take these techniques, take these tips, and use them to bring yourself new opportunities, to bring yourself, you know, something new in your life that happens because you were able to control your own emotional state, because you were able to not blow up, right? And it just so happened I was lucky at the time, right? I didn't do anything stupid, or he caught it and he, you know, kind of just played around it. But you won't always have that situation, right? You won't always have that happen. Sometimes it might be you in the fire, right? And if you do the wrong thing, you're going to mess something up, right? If you take the wrong action, you're going to mess something up. So don't do that. And instead, you could just choose to feel better, right? You know, put these things in practice and make yourself feel differently. I don't know if you got any closing remarks, man. You know, you want to maybe say something to the community before we close up here. But honestly, I'm beat. I'm tapped out.
Really, you just got to choose, guys. You just got to choose. You got to, you know, let go of the attachment to the emotion. And it's hard to believe that you're attached to negativity, but you know, you often are. You often want to believe that you can't get out of it. So really, in the moment, you just got to be able to choose. You know, if you're going to deal with emotions and strong emotions, they're strong. And so you have to be stronger. You have to choose to do the things that you know how to do to get yourself out. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys. And we'll see you soon.